The Compromise of 1850 would put off a civil war for 10 years while also intensifying the hatred between the North and the South. Winning land from Mexico destroyed the Missouri Compromise. From the moment that the question of allowing slavery in the Mexican cession began to be debated, the calm provided by the Missouri Compromise was shattered forever. Zachary Taylor became a hero to the country because of his victory in the Battle of Buena Vista. So he was nominated for the presidency by the Whig Party, which generally stood against the expansion of slavery. However, he was one of the biggest slave owners in the South. He owned 2 plantations and over 300 slaves. Many in the South voted for him because they believed he would be a friend to the South on the issue of expanding slavery. They would be wrong. The controversy began when California applied to become a free state in 1849. Southerners didn't like it because now the free states would have more senators than the slave states, and they would have a lot less power. And so this garnered a lot of opposition by the South. The debate over the issue of allowing slavery in the new territories was very bitter. It lasted about 9 months. Henry Clay, the great compromiser, designed a compromise to hold the country together, which included allowing slavery in the New Mexico and Utah territories. What the South did not anticipate was Zachary Taylor's thoughts on this whole issue. Zachary Taylor had been 40 years in the Army. He was a nationalist. He kind of took the view of the country as a whole, and he was alarmed at this whole thing. He was a Whig. He believed in the Whig principles of not expanding slavery, which surprised everybody because he was one of the biggest slave owners in the South. He accused the South of trying to hold California hostage for their own legislative aims, and he insisted that Congress admit California as a free state without any other agreements. And this garnered him a lot of opposition among the South and even in the North. The South began threatening to secede from the Union and form their own country. Taylor began threatening the South that he was going to lead the army down there and stop them. It appeared that we were going to go into a civil war by the middle of 1850. And then July 4th happened. And on that day, there were fireworks, there were celebrations. Zachary Taylor was sitting on the lawn of the White House having uncooked and unwashed fruit and vegetables. And he got sick, and 5 days later he died. After Zachary Taylor's death, Millard Fillmore, a Northerner, became president and immediately threw his support behind the compromise. Where it was ironic that Taylor, a slave owner, had come out against the expansion of slavery, it was also ironic that Millard Fillmore, a Northerner, came out for the expansion of slavery. People like Millard Fillmore, Northerners who supported the South, came to be called doughfaces because they looked like Northerners, but they acted like Southerners. The compromise kept the Union together for a while. Some of the things that came about is the South did lose power in the United States Senate. However, one of the California senators was pro-Southern, so it didn't hurt that much for a while. The Missouri Compromise border that had kept the peace for 25 years was being overridden by popular sovereignty, the idea that the people of the territory could decide whether to have slavery or not. And the North was being invaded in a way by slave catchers who were allowed to go up into the North and capture slaves. And for the first time, Northerners had to deal directly with the issue of slavery. The Fugitive Slave Act was the most controversial part of the Compromise of 1850. Many Northerners now had to deal with slavery in a way that they never had before, and they were angered about it. Escaped slaves who had made their homes in the North, now if they really wanted to be free, they had to go all the way up to Canada. Others who stayed were always in danger of being captured, because now slave catchers could come right into the North, they could search around, and they were not supposed to be resisted. On the other hand, many Northerners did resist. They harassed them, many threatened them. Sometimes the slave catchers just had to leave without getting their person that they were trying to get. Many Northerners refused to cooperate with this. Some northern states passed personal liberty laws, which stated that they were not going to cooperate with the Fugitive Slave Act, in effect nullifying the Fugitive Slave Act. Other states kind of took a different tack, maybe not so nice tack. What they did was they just outlawed having black people in their state. Illinois was a state that did that. California had a vote on that. Peter Burnett, the governor, the first governor of California, really wanted to have a law like that, but California voted it down. And apparently it was about the only thing Peter Burnett cared about, because he resigned office shortly thereafter. The South was enraged that Northerners were not obeying the law, and so the strife between both sides just kept getting worse and worse.